Hi Sam, how you doing today?
G'day, Craig. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing good, doing good. Thank you for your time. I know you're a busy man. So, first question that I wanted to ask, and it's the main question that I ask everybody. How are you doing in the pandemic? Are you and your family staying safe? And what are you doing in this period? It's a little different.
Definitely a different time. I'm currently home on holidays at the moment. I'm not due back to work till the middle of September. We're all a company-wide policy came through that we had to get all our holidays back down to zero, and I had up around 7 weeks of holiday. So I'm on an enforced holiday at the moment, so not due back till about the 9th of September or something.
Right, and you and your family, you're staying safe.
Yeah, mate, the family.
Brisbane's not too bad.
The family's well. Obviously, being in Queensland, the kids are all back to school now after homeschooling there for about 6 or 8 weeks. The wife, who works for the government, she's working from home 2 days a week and in the office 3 days a week, and then it swaps around the following week. So we're all nice and safe, mate.
And did you have to cancel anything during this period, or do you have plans?
My daughter turned 18 in July, so our plan. My sister has a holiday house up at Hamilton Island. We like to go up there once a year.
Oh, nice.
We get a week's use of that once a year up there, and we were planning to spend the 18th, or my daughter's 18th, up there this year. But no one can fly into the islands unless you're an employee.
Yeah, right. And you said that you took time off with work as well in that period, this period. So were you able to do any sort of work online, like to sort of?
Most of my job's all in the studio work. I work for Radio TAB, so all of my work consists of actually being in the studio. It's all sort of producing, and we're not really producing, but helping setting up interviews and things like that. So, mate, I haven't even had to bring my laptop home. As I said, I don't go back to work until September. I've left my laptop there, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, right. So it says here that you've worked for the Radio TAB for over 30 years. Is that correct?
Not quite. I started there in 97.
Okay.
Yeah, 1997. I remember watching the Manly Newcastle grand final from the studios. And that's how it always rings a bell with me.
Oh, what a great memory.
You definitely.
Yes. Yeah, people can talk about being a split competition, but I think that was one of the saviors of a rugby league. Newcastle winning that grand final.
Yeah, it was a great result.
Just straight off the bat, I just you're a huge Parramatta fan.
That's right.
You live in Brisbane, so the obvious reason is, Wyatt, you were a Broncos supporter.
Funny story. Well, maybe not funny, but this is the story. When I was a young fella, I played all my junior rugby league for the North Banyo Rugby League Club.
Yes.
When we were, I think, around under nines, we had one of the fathers or one of the parents sponsor the team. And at the end of the year, when you're on your trophy day, not only did we get our trophies and our jerseys, everyone in the team was given a Sydney, New South Wales shirt. Now, at that stage, being only 8 or 9, we didn't know much about the New South Wales Rugby League. It was all about Norths or Valleys or
yes,
teams like that up here. And the shirt I ended up with was a Parramatta shirt, and I've stuck loyal to this day.
Yeah, right. It's just very interesting how something like that can just happen, and you stick loyal to them through all these sort of times. And look at Parramatta this year. I mean, they're flying, aren't they?
Well, I'm optimistic. I'm a long-suffering Parramatta fan.
Yes.
I'll wait to see how we finish the season Friday.
There's still 7 rounds to go, right?
Right.
Yes, there's been some interesting. And, we're talking about grand finals, and I don't want to rub it in, but, the Knights' last grand final, unfortunately. But I
was there that game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 2001, I was there.
But to be fair, Sam, that year, they were the best team in the comp. I think they only lost 2 or 3 games that whole season. So,
well, they broke a lot of club records that year.
Yeah.
Also, I suppose if they had the premiership, they'd probably consider one of the greatest club teams of all time. But we didn't perform well on the big dance.
Yes. It's just one of the, there's one game, So Sam, you've worked for the TAB for, quite a long time. Let's go back, way back, so were you born in Queensland? Were you born in Brisbane?
Yep, Brisbane boy.
Okay, and what was it like? Were you living in Brisbane in the city, or were you living outside the city?
I lived in a suburb called Banyo, hence where my
the Banyo boys.
Yeah, I grew up in the suburb of Banyo, which is just like a little industrial. It's a little suburb stuck sort of just in like a little industrial area on the north side of Brisbane. Beautiful little area growing up in. Everybody sort of knew everybody. So, before school, after school, there was games of football, touch, you name it. There was always cricket. There was always people to hang around with and, muck around with. It was, just a great little suburb. And best part is, like as you got older, you're an hour away from the Sunshine Coast and are now away from the Gold Coast. So it was just a great little spot.
Right in the middle. And was it a big rugby league like town there?
Banyo,
did you have your own local team, like in the second or third division, or?
No, we're just a little. My closest Brisbane rugby league club would have been Norths, which was over at Nunda, which was only like 2 suburbs drives away.
Right.
But I think junior football wise, there was probably 6 clubs. Roughly about 6 clubs in and around the area that you could have gone and played with. But North Banyo was the club that all my mates played with, so that's the one I went to.
All right. And did you grow up in a big family, or was it a small family?
No, I have my parents, mum and dad, and I have 3 older sisters. My older sister Kelly's 8 years older, and I have 2 twin sisters, Rachel and Lauren, that are 4 years older than me.
All right. So finally, the third or the fourth time lucky with a boy, right?
Right.
So and growing up there. You said before that you did play some rugby league in that time. So tell us a little bit about, did you play schoolboys? How did it all start?
I played club and school football. I started high school at Banyo State High, which actually isn't there anymore, or it's still there, but it's called, I think, Earnshaw College now. Yeah. I started there in 1986, and when I was in grade 8 in 86, the senior football team went through to win the Brisbane competition, which was
right.
That was always a big day. Played at Lang Park, and then 4 years later, when I was in grade 11, but a part of the senior team, we went through and won the Brisbane Premiership as well, doing the same thing they did. And we beat Wynnum in the final. I don't remember the score. It was very close towards the end, about 26-24.
Right.
And I remember the winning team, they had a guy named Jeff Wittenberg, who ended up down at St. George Illawarra.
Right.
And a guy who's just resigned as a coach, Paul Green, was the captain and the halfback of the team.
Really? There you go. That's interesting. I was just about to ask who did you play with that sort of went on to the NRL?
I did have 3 guys in my team, Brett Gallia, Mark Bevan and Kieran Meyer. They all went on to higher success in football. They all went into NRL clubs and played anywhere from up to about 50 games, I believe.
Right. And so what happened to your career? Did you just keep playing?
No, my career was very short. You need talent to have a long career, and unfortunately, I had speed, not talent to match it.
Right. And what positions did you play? What did you prefer to play?
If we were short in the forwards, I'd play a little bit of second row, but it was generally a centre or a winger.
Centre or a winger. All right. So you did have a bit of speed, you did say?
Back in the days. Back in the
day.
Saying that, I raced my 15-year-old son 3 days ago, and it wasn't pretty. And I'm pulled up pretty sore from
it. And was there any sort of injuries there? Is that the reason? Just like form, just being in the right spot at the right time,
I think once high school finished,
other things come into.
Yeah, like you start working, you start going out to the nightclubs, and the girls are a lot more interesting at 18 and 19 than what they were at 14 and 15. So, no, I was always the one that I've probably pretty much worked weekends and things like that. So it came down to a choice, like money or the mates there for a while playing footy. So No, I knew I wasn't going to go any further in with it, so it was easy just to hang out and watch them on the sidelines.
Right. And what did your parents, what did they do for work?
Mum and dad. Dad was pretty much a truck driver for a what would you call them, a nut and bolt company. That was pretty much his gig for about 30-odd years, 35 years.
Yeah.
Mum was a rep for something pretty similar. So that's pretty much what they did, but they've been probably retired now for about 12 years or so.
Wow. Okay. And, are you still living close? How far did you say, whereabouts are you living now? Are you still close?
I live out at Launton now, just outside of Brisbane itself. It's in the Petrie Shire. I grew up in Banyo. Banyo's probably maybe a 30-minute car drive along the freeway.
Right. All right. So let's talk about NRL. Is NRL your number one sport, or what other sports are you sort of involved in? What interests you?
Rugby league's always been my main sport.
Yes.
I do have other interests, like I like world-class boxing. If there's two great fighters, I'll watch that. I'm a big fan of the UFC, so I watch that sort of stuff. But
oh, nice.
It's always been rugby league. That's always been since I was a young guy, young fella. It's always been rugby league.
So let's talk about that. Did your dad play rugby league, or was it something you sort of?
No, my dad. He had his own cancer sort of issues when I was a young fella. But most of the stuff my dad was interested in, I'm pretty certain him and his mates, if they weren't riding horses, they were like. It was a pretty big badge of honour, to get down to the Gold Coast and their surf club and compete in all the events and stuff like that. But no, I don't go swimming out in the ocean. It's sharky out there.
Yeah. So with rugby league, I mean, when was your sort of like first game? Did you go to the Broncos games, or was it just your local competition? When you were first sort of getting involved with rugby league?
My neighbours growing up, they had 5 sons. Their oldest son, Cliffy, when I was a young guy, just starting off in football, he had just debuted as the fullback for Norse in the Brisbane competition back in
the days.
Now, this was pre-NRL and pre-Brisbane going into the New South Wales Rugby League. So pretty much every second week when Norse had a home game at Bishop Park, I would tag along with my bestie next door and his family, and we'd watch all 3 grades. They had another son that was playing in, I think it was like under 19s or Colts back in those days. So it was always good fun. But I got to see Wally Lewis playing for Valleys and all those like Queensland legends back in the day, playing for all those local club teams.
Yeah, and who is your sort of like standout? You said Wally Lewis, so it was like Mal Meninga, Langer.
It was always Wally.
Wally, yeah.
I mean, every Queensland kid loves the King.
Yeah, that's right.
But as my own, like Norse had a big front rower named Campbell Jews that was just a beast. He was just he was like an icon of the club, like a Philly moi. Every time you hit it up, you'd hear the crowd cheering from the hill and the Big Ben, Zulu, and he was a legend of the Brisbane comp. He was probably one of my first idols as well.
And did he go on to bigger things? That name doesn't sound familiar to me.
I think Brisbane comp was. I think he was just at the wrong sort of age group. I think the Broncos awards, like when he was maybe at the back end of his 20s or early 30s. I couldn't confirm this, but he may have made like a Brisbane Panasonic Cup team back in the day. They used to play midweek competitions and that. But as for going on for Queensland, all that sort of stuff, no, I don't think he ever achieved that.
Right. And I've also seen like pictures of your whole family decked out in the Parramatta jerseys, but then there's another picture of you with the whole family decked in the maroon.
The whole family decked in the maroon. I wonder what that one was.
But that's my thing. Like you're following Parramatta, the Sydney club, but then you're
Oh
following.
no, we're Queenslanders through and through. But
Yes.
unfortunately for my kids, I brainwashed them really about Parramatta, and
so you said that Parramatta, you had the jersey. So did you follow them? How far back do you go with Parramatta? Like supporting them?
Well, ever since that presentation day when I was given a shirt and it was a Parramatta shirt, and that's my team. So that was in, say, around 82, 83, or like
wow.
in their prime.
So
but,
that
back
was
in living in Brisbane, you didn't really get to see a lot of their highlights and stuff. So unless Sydney teams were actually making grand finals and stuff, you didn't really see a lot back in the day.
Yeah. So like it was like Sterling, Kenny, Cronin.
Oh, the greats, Win.
Yeah.
Eric Grove was probably one of my favourites growing up for Parramatta.
I think he's a fan for all the Parramatta supporters. Actually, you just sort of you watch the old school grand finals. He's there, you watch an old game. He's there, just be the Iron Man. So would have been good for you then when Brisbane Broncos and the Gold Coast come into the competition. Then you'd be able to see Parramatta play in Queensland.
I know. I'd never missed a game when they came up because it was always so rare to see them. Like I did see Parramatta play like one of those Panasonic Brisbane teams back in like the midweek competition when I was I must have been 10 or 11 or even younger. But when they came in and the Broncos were up here, I never missed a home game. Even when they travelled out to ANZ, we would always go out.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go into our sort of similar interests here. We've talked NRL, we've talked Parramatta. Now we both have a very similar interest in a game. For people who don't know, it is a game called Super Coach, and it is a game. I'm still trying to explain it to my mom how to play it, but you pick a bunch of for the people who don't know, it's a bunch of your team from a rugby league competition. You put them into a team, and they get points on if they score a try or they make a tackle or something like that. So this has been going on for quite a few years now, and Sam actually won the 2017 Super Coach Overall points. Now, Sam, can you remember how many players played that season? Or
I think that year there was 133,000, which at that time was a record, but it's been getting bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah, it gets popular each year. Just people, friends of friends, So how did you get involved with Supercoach?
Working for Radio TAB, I'm generally working weekends, so that's a lot of Friday nights and Saturday nights and things like that. And during football season, you're always watching it. I just happened to notice articles would pop up. I think I originally started seeing them on Fox Sports. They had their own fantasy version, and then I started noticing through the Daily Telegraph this man called Tom Sangster was putting out articles about Supercoach, and I thought, this makes the game more interesting. You can watch games and support players that aren't in your team, and you can still have fun watching the game.
Yeah.
So the first season or two, I started off doing that, not really having a clue what I was doing, just thinking it was just something to do for the football time. Then I met another dad who had the same interest. So we would start talking about it, and then he put me onto a website, NRL Super Coach Tour. And from there, my obsession with the game just exploded. I couldn't wait to learn more about it.
Yeah. And the thing is, it draws you to watch, before this, I would just watch the Knights game, and that'd do me for rugby league, or we'd watch the game of the week, or whatever. But if it wasn't the Knights, I generally didn't have any interest in it. So, but when Super Coach come in, it was like, you know what? I've got Corey Parker in my team as captain. Oh, I want the Brisbane Broncos to smash them. I want them to be. So it just gives you that, extra motivation and just like, you know what? I want to watch this. So there's stages there where you could watch 5 or 6 games, of rugby league, and that's unheard of.
Well, I would have been similar like you, Craig. I would probably just watch, mainly the Parramatta games, and living in Brisbane, you couldn't miss a Bronco game. They were always on a Friday or a Sunday. So, but then, as you said, mate, you start picking players, or you start looking at players from other teams and following their careers. And I've never been a Cronulla fan in my life, but Paul Gallen was such a dominant Super Coach player. I started watching plenty of Cronulla games, and then James Tedesco came through at the West Tigers there, and his first game he looked like an absolute superstar, and then 10 minutes later he did his knee, and it's just the stories that can go with some of these games. It's unbelievable, and then how hyped up you can get for it, or how much you can look forward to a particular game, and then the weather comes along and ruins whatever your plans were.
That's it. So let's I know we're going a bit forward, but let's go to the 2017 season. Like before that, were you going good? Were you okay? Average?
I had sort of, as I said, the first couple of years, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just picking name players. Like
that's it. Yes.
I pretty much had a Queensland backline, not realising Darren Lockyer was terrible at Super Coach. So
that's right. That's the thing.
First couple of seasons.
Well, that was the thing. Like, sorry to cut you off there, Sam. At the start, you'd pick all the big names, all the people that are in the Australian team, and then you'd get halfway through it, and you got no money left. You still got to fill in 10 spots. So,
part of every season.
that's right. Yeah. So, let's talk about the season that you won. So, you were saying that. Like the 15 and 16, you're sort of like a learning sort of period, but you said you were in chat.
Even a couple of years before that, 15, I think I finished about 3,200.
Right.
2016 was the first time I finished in the top 1,000, and I was just thinking, like, there were some weeks there when you maybe forgot to put your captaincy on a certain person, and just I thought to myself, if I pay attention next year, I could do a lot better at this. I mean, I never expected to do what I achieved that year, but, if you put the hard work, especially Supercoach, if you put the hard work in, if you devote the time to try and find an edge, try and find a pod player, if you put in the homework, you can be rewarded.
Yes, absolutely. So with the 2017 season, did you have any sort of plans going into it before you started? What were you? How did you sort of get to being the winner? Like, you must have been doing things at the start right,
Well, I'd say that season I definitely hit on, as we know in Super Coach, to help create value in your team, you need to bring in the right rookies at the start of the year whose prices are going to go up.
Yes.
I don't remember off the top of my head who I actually had that year, but I dare say it was probably a cookie cutter type team where I had pretty much all the right guys from the start, and I was lucky with a few of the choices I went with, especially in the forwards that got a lot of those attacking stats early on in the season, which can sort of jump you up the leaderboard a little bit. I don't think I hit I cracked the top 10, I think, that year in about round 8.
Okay.
And then I just happened to make good selections for the next couple of weeks.
Good decisions,
Before I knew it, I was inside the top 10, so I was screenshotting that. I thought, well, this is the best I'm ever going to get. I'm going to have that screenshot me at number 9, and then each week I sort of got a lower screenshot until I eventually got down to number 1.
Right. Wow. So when did you get to number 1? Like before the semi-finals, or were you number 1?
I hit the number 1, I think, about round 16 off the top of my head.
Right.
I had been like in the top 5, like myself and the 4 other teams around that time had all sort of been swapping inside the top 5. But from round 16, I hit the top spot. I held it for 2 weeks. I lost it for 2 weeks, and once I got it back, I held it right through to the end of the season, right through to the end of round 26.
Sam, you got to give me some tips, mate. This
Mate,
season.
I've had a look at your team. I don't think you need any tips from me this season.
Yeah, I've had for people that don't know, I haven't told too many people, but I'm coming 5th overall in the 2020 Super Coach. And the thing is, I've lived in China for 4 years. So I've been doing Super Coach, in Shanghai. And it's just too hard to get the late mail and to get, all the updates. I don't get to watch all the games. The pandemic has hit. I got out of there straight away. I'm now I've been here since February.
Oh, wow.
Super Coach comes up. All my friends, we've got a group, and it's like, you know what? Let's have a dig. So I just think at the start, like with you, I just picked the right players at the start of the year, and I've had a bit of luck with the captaincy, and I think this week is my best team. I think after all this time, I think this week is my strongest team. So let's see how. It's
always nice to get your best players a long time before the competition finishes.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So I'm a little worried about the trades, but so how did you go with the trades with your season? Like did you sort of keep them? Are you some person that keeps them, or use them whenever you can?
My season's a little bit different to the way Super Coach is now.
Oh yeah.
The season I won was the last season where we had the bye period for the Origin.
Oh, gotcha.
That was always a part of the season that sorted out not the amateur Super Coaches, but the ones that didn't put the time in to look at bye periods and see which players were going to be available. So if you could always manage that part of the season well, you could make up a heap of ground. I remember Wilfred Z, Catfish, a big name in our community.
Yes.
He won it the season before I did. And at the end of Wilfred's season, he put out like a nice little, I should call it a book because it was so long. It was just how he set his team up from the start of the season, how he got himself through the bye period. And I would sort of, go back to that once or twice during the season, or probably more often than that, just to see how I was, how Wilfred was doing, and, where I could improve myself. And so I got through the bye period fairly well. I still had a very strong team at the time. I was already sitting in, the top couple rankings in Super Coach. And once the bye period sort of finished and I was still sort of sitting up in that top 5, I thought,
hang on,
I could actually win this. I was always sort of waiting for that week where I was going to have the big chunk drop and fall back. But lucky for me, I kept making right choices, or the other coaches made wrong choices, and I end up surging ahead through the last part of the season and end up winning by over 400 points in the end.
Oh wow! Yeah, right. So the last round of the season, how far ahead were you at the time?
Coming into the last round, I had a 288-point lead, and I had one trade.
That's big.
It was absolutely mind-blowing.
So you would have had to fall. You would have had to fall over to lose that, right? 280-point lead.
2 weeks out, 2 weeks to go, I thought it was mine. I thought they would have to get really lucky to beat me. And as you're probably aware, sitting there at 5th, you do a lot of homework on the other teams up around you in the rankings. And
yes.
I knew we really had 2 different pod players that I was concerned about. So I ended up using my very last trade in I think it was the last week. And I brought in Billy Slater, who was what I considered the most dangerous pod left of the teams that were ranked 2 and 3. So I brought him in to cross that pot out. I actually made him captain that week because Melbourne were playing a banged-up South Sydney. South Sydney had a lot of outs that week, and the guys that were playing were all carrying injuries. And I just thought Billy was ready to have a big game, and he punched out a 100-plus point game at that round.
Wow. That's what got you over. So, and then you won the competition. So, what happens there? Like, obviously it's a huge prize money. So how did that all happen? Because I know that it wasn't just picking your teams, sorting out the teams. So that whole year, you have a very good story to tell. Unfortunately, you had to go into hospital for operation. So tell us all about that.
Okay. I'll probably go back to the beginning here.
Go for it. Yeah. Sure.
After being misdiagnosed a couple of times, I was really crook around 2013, 2014, and after being misdiagnosed a couple of times, I finally got the right diagnosis after colonoscopy that I had bowel cancer. I was only 41 then, so I didn't know anything about bowel cancer. I didn't know much about many cancers, to tell you the truth. So that was a big shock. So I end up having a right hemicolectomy, which basically make it simple, they took out the right half of my bowel. I did that. I did chemo. I did 6 months of chemo, where I had a portacath inserted just above the right nipple, and that's the way I chose to do my chemotherapy. You can generally either get like the pick in the arm, which meant I would have had to go up to the hospital every week after the day after my chemo session and get it all cleaned out. So I went with the portacath because that meant I only had to go up there every second week. So, cut a long story short, I got through my chemo and that all right. I picked up a few little nooks and crannies that chemo gives you. Like, I've got nerve damage to the feet, to the hands, and just a couple other little things. Nothing that bothers me now. Basically, the portacath that I had where my chemo would be transfused, you keep those in for 3 years. So towards the end of 2017, the year I was doing really well in Super Coach, I was due to get my portacath out. I'd been told I was clear of even though they don't give you the bowel cancer clearance for 5 years, I was told everything was looking good, that the portacath was due to come out. About a week before the due date it was to come out, I was feeling really lethargic and just didn't think much of it because my health had sort of been like that. I just happened to have a scan, and then about 2 days later, I was supposed to see my oncologist. He got the results of the scan and basically rang me at home at 8 in the morning and said, "Look, I don't want you to do anything. I want you to go sit on the lounge. I don't want you to go to work. We're sending an ambulance to your place."
Oh, my God.
And that's a big shock to the system.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big shock to wake up to.
Yeah.
So basically what had happened there is my portacath had disintegrated or broken up inside me.
Oh, my God.
And what they'd found out from the scan I had a few days before is that there's a tube about so long that goes from the portacath across. That had come loose and had got tangled up in my heart. So that's the why I wasn't feeling real flash there for a day or two. So
wow.
Straight back into hospital. They did the surgery, pulled everything out. Everything was great. I come home about a week or so later. Like my first day, I'm due to go back to work. I'm in the shower and I just feel this throbbing pain in my neck. So I told the wife. She's quickly done the old Dr. Google thing. And she said, "Oh, you're not going to believe this." She says, I think you have a blood clot." So we go up to the hospital and I tell them everything that I've been through, and they scan it like with a little ultrasound like they do with ladies when they're pregnant.
Yes.
And the nurse who was doing mine, she's going up. She's going, "Oh, it's big. Oh, it's really big." And so I wasn't feeling really confident there.
Oh, no.
To cut a long story short, I ended up taking Plexane needles there for 6 months, and that was to bring the clot down, to break it up.
Yeah.
That all worked out. in the meantime, I'm still playing Super Coach. I've been in and out of hospitals, having different surgeries. The end of the year comes. I happen to win the $50,000. At that stage, I've got a clean bill of health from my doctors and everything. So the wife and I have always wanted to go to New York. So that's what we thought we were going to do with the prize money. We're going to New York. That's it.
Yeah.
So we've done everything. The day I was actually going to book to pay for everything, I had another episode at home, and I thought, oh, this doesn't feel right. And I thought, oh, I better go up to the hospital to double check. And so instead of having the clot in my jugular, it had gone up to here.
The brain.
I can't exactly remember the proper term. It's something like venous thrombosis or something like that, which basically is a blood clot in the brain. So that's pretty much me at the moment. I'm stuck with that there, and I'm on warfarin for life now. I take warfarin and metoprolol every day, and never got to go to America. And by the way, in the world we live in today, I don't think I'm going to get there.
No, well, not at the moment. No, definitely not. But wow, that's an amazing. And I feel you. Like my mom has had the same. She went in for a hip surgery, and then they found clots in her heart, and so I'm so glad that I'm back here in Australia and being able to sort of help her as well. So I feel your pain as well, but you look fine. You look very healthy at the moment. So
I'm really good. I have been given the all clear for my bowel cancer after 5 years.
Oh, that's great.
A month after that, I've since found out I have. Oh, this is an awesome word to spit out. Neuroendocrine tumours now. So it's known as NET. It is a cancer I knew absolutely nothing about. Some research I've been doing since I've been diagnosed. Let me set the record straight. These tumours are slow-growing tumours. It's, if it is going to kill you, it's going to take 30 or 40 or 50 years to kill you from what they tell me. My oncologist isn't even concerned about it at the moment. I've had multiple scans where they can tell the tumours haven't grown. So until they start to show some movement, I won't even be starting treatment for that. But I just know it's just another thing I'm dealing with at the moment.
Yes.
I'd never heard of NETs until I jumped online and realised it was the thing that eventually killed Steve Jobs and Aretha Franklin. And really surprising there's not a lot more word out about NETs.
Yeah. Wow, that's awful. But I also heard while you were in hospital when you won the Super Coach that, and I don't know how it happened, but you got a call from Brad Arthur, the Parramatta coach, while you're in the hospital when you won. Is that true?
Yes. I'm not sure if I was in hospital or whether I was home recovering at that stage. Tom Sangster, the face of Super Coach, he'd actually flown up to Brisbane and interviewed myself and my family, and that was in the Daily Telegraph within the next couple of days. And as far as I know, Brad had seen that. He got in contact with the Daily Telegraph, and next thing you know, I'm speaking to Brad Arthur. It was just, very surreal.
Wow. And apparently in the article that I saw online is that he showed the whole team pictures of you or videos of you in the hospital, and apparently that sort of spurred on the team. So that's just incredible, and it just goes to show, the Parramatta Eels and the club, what sort of club they are and what sort of person Brad Arthur is, right?
Yeah, no, huge respect for Brad Arthur. Huge respect.
Yeah, and you said you got to talk to him as well?
Yeah, I spoke to him for about 5 minutes. He he told me that he read the article, and he just wanted to say as a long fan like myself, he just wanted to wish me the best of luck and let me know that the team and the club were thinking about me.
Wow.
In fact, it was funny. Brad wouldn't have known this, but
Yeah.
just after I'd had my bowel surgery in 2014, one of the guys I worked with had I'm not sure how it all came about, but next thing you know, I've got a call from Erin Boland, and she was going to be in Brisbane, and she was interested in doing a story on myself and my family after finding out I was after I had bowel cancer. Erin, at that stage, I still believe she is the bowel cancer ambassador for Australia.
Really?
Yeah, so that was quite surreal. So Erin came up, we did like a little hour video in the house, and she spoke to my kids, and then we went out past the football, and I just happened to mention in that interview that, as a long-time Parramatta fan, I'd been out to Parramatta Stadium, but I'd never seen the team play. Well, about 2 days later, the club sponsor at the time, Shine Lawyers,
Yes.
one of the gentlemen there had seen that interview, and they rang the wife. I was in bed. They rang the wife and said, "Look, we'd really like to fly your family down to Sydney to watch our next home game." And 3 days later, my tribe were off into Sydney.
Wow.
And we watched Parramatta beat the Sydney Roosters on a Friday night game at Parramatta Stadium. It was,
come on.
It was a brilliant weekend.
Wow, that's just great. And it couldn't happen to, a nicer person. That's just great. And speaking of celebrities and people that you've met during the time, like obviously you've worked for a while with Radio TAB, and there's a list of people that you've interviewed or you've met.
Oh no. I wouldn't say. I'm just the person who puts them through to the studio. So I'm in those particular shifts. Back in those days, I was a producer, so I'd have a quick chat to them off air before I'd put them through to the main host of the shows.
Right.
But yeah, like as a guy who's always been into horse racing, my dad was into horse racing, so I always had a keen interest. So it's funny how I ended up working for Radio TAB.
Yeah.
It was just organising interviews. 1 minute, you're trying to ring Gay Waterhouse to put her through. The next day you could be talking to a David Hayes or a Lee Friedman or Jimmy Byrne from, a jockey from Brisbane. It was just people that, you'd seen around, and, they were pretty dominant in their industry, and just have a little 20-second, 30-second chat with them before they went on air. I loved it. It was
That's cool, fun. Yeah. Because it's saying here, Daren Beadman, Damien Oliver, Gay Waterhouse. I mean, they're big names in the Australian racing industry,
Oh, they're huge names in the industry. They wouldn't remember me from a bar of soap, but I had my 30 seconds of joy, so I'm happy.
Yeah, 30. And do you have any tips for me, by the way, for any tips on any horses?
Super Coach? Oh, no, the horses. No, I'm the worst judge you can find.
Yeah.
I stick with my first try scorers, and that's about as far as I like to go these days.
Yeah, I was. I had a good win. I put $50. I had a couple of back-to-back wins, so I had enough money to say, okay, TAB, I'm going to put $50 on my man, Kalen Ponga, to score the first try and for Newcastle to win. That was the game against the Tigers. Actually got a ticket to go in this time. That's crazy. He got the ball, bam, straight through the middle, scored a try, bang, $250.
Yep.
Come on. And at the end, because there wasn't too many people there, I said, "Kalen, what do you drink?" "Oh, you a beer." And he just give me the thumbs up, and so that was pretty cool. But let's
fan of Kyle Ponga.
What's that?
My daughter's a huge fan of Kyle Ponga, and I don't think she's a fan of his.
Yes. I'm sure he's the ladies like Kalen Ponga, definitely. So let's talk about your family now. 2 daughters and a son? Is that?
No, opposite way. One daughter and 2 sons.
Oh, right, okay. So what are they?
One of my sons has such long hair, he could probably be my other daughter at the moment.
So has he gone on to play rugby league as well, or is he gone on different paths?
He did. He was doing really well. He played from under sevens right through. He finished two years ago. He pretty much broke his arm in back-to-back seasons. And that was pretty much He did one in the game and missed, I think it was his under 14 season. Oh, sorry, under 13 season. And then 2 games back into the next season, he broke another part. So that was it. Another season ruined. And then he found 2 things in life that everyone should find: fishing and girls.
It's a simple life, isn't it? Fishing and girls.
Yeah, no, he didn't want to put up with all the politics of playing football anymore, and so
absolutely.
And as parents, we were quite happy to have the break too. Like,
yeah,
when you see your kids banged up just from playing a sport or so, it's sort of, you get a bit excited. There's not as many footy trainings and stuff you have to get to, or
that's true.
Games you have to drive to on the other side of Brisbane, but it's been quite good. My daughter played rep footy in the girls' competition as well.
Oh, right.
She's retired now.
Okay.
She, unfortunately, she threw to the mother's side, and she didn't really grow a lot once she hit 13. So
right.
She's a real shorty.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's great. And you also said that in your spare time you love a bit of fishing. I've seen your Facebook, and there's plenty of photos on there with holding up I think it was like mackerel or something, was it?
I don't even know what it was. I was just glad I got on the boat. No, that was I took my boys one trip when we were up at Hamilton Island. I took the boys out deep sea fishing. In fact, we go every time when we go. It's just a good couple of hours out there, and just good bonding time with my boys.
Yeah, right. And speaking of your travels, where have you travelled in your time?
I'm been pretty much stuck in Australia, mate. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I regret things now that I haven't travelled. That's why we were so disappointed when the blood clots hit and we couldn't do New York and Vegas. I don't know. It's just, when I was a young guy, it was never really high on my agenda at the time.
Why travel? Like, Australia's beautiful.
I have such regrets now, but I would have loved to go to America. I would have loved to go to Italy, but with this blood clot now, I think they let me fly as far as 6 hours. So one day I may be able to go to Japan or somewhere, but the blood clots now have pretty much limited me to where I can go. So
yeah, right, okay. Oh well, you never know. You never know what happens. This whole pandemic could be over. We'll find a cure, and hopefully we can get back into travelling. All right, so NRL. Obviously, you want Parramatta to win the grand final, but who are you sort of looking at to, the top 4, top 2 teams, in your opinion, for this season?
I think the top 4 is pretty much sorted now. I don't expect anybody to come from outside what the top 4 is now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping for a Parramatta grand final. I realise we have to improve against teams as the Roosters and Melbourne. We don't have great track records against them, but it's a different season, a different comp.
Yeah.
Am I confident we'll be in the grand final? No, I'm not confident, but I'm hopeful.
I think it's actually pretty open. I mean, Melbourne have got a few injuries. I know that Roosters have got a few injuries. Panthers are playing great. Parramatta, they're getting by. They're winning. But, I mean, they're not sort of smashing teams. They're winning. So I think it's very, very open with the competition. I think I would actually like to see, if my Knights don't win it, I would like to see Para and Penrith, the West go.
That would be a great grand final. Yeah. I would love to see that grand final myself.
Yeah, but once Roosters and Storm get their players back, they're going to be hard to beat. So.
They're obviously the benchmark of Australian football. So that's where the other 14 clubs should be trying to achieve what the Roosters and Storm have done for pretty much the last decade.
Definitely.
2 decades ago, talking about the Storm. Just brilliant franchises. That's where every club should be striving to be at.
And I'm always interested to hear other people's opinions about the Knights. What do you think about the Knights team?
Well, one thing about football I always love is there's always a club that's always rebuilding. Now, I'm going to go back to when Brandy moved back to the Knights just after Wayne Bennett left him in that hole.
Yes.
I thought Brand did a spectacular job with Newcastle, the play he's brought to the club and the systems and programs he's put in place. If he takes all that with him to New Zealand, I think that franchise could turn around in the next 4 or 5 seasons.
Definitely.
I'm not sure whether he'll be the man at the end of it, at the end of the rainbow, but I think, to me, I liken him a lot to like Brian Smith from the 90s and the 80s, former Parramatta coach. He's just
and Newcastle.
One of those guys put into a club. He'll get everything running from the juniors, give everyone a pathway up to the top grade. And when he leaves, that club is in a better shape. And
yes.
I think Nathan Brown left Newcastle in a great shape. He put them in a system moving forward.
Yes.
And we've seen the benefits the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
The players they've got there now, Kylan's such a superstar.
Yes.
Young Bradman Best looks to be a generational talent.
Absolutely, yeah. And we're getting Frizzell next year from St George, so that sort of boosts our back row up a bit. So yeah, it's good because it's just like Brisbane. Every time I go up to Brisbane, I used to love going up to the State of Origin and going and spending a week up there for the State of Origin. And I was going up there when the great Queensland teams, your Thurstons, your Cronk, your Slater, your Billy Smith, Cameron Smith, and New South Wales were getting smashed. I didn't care. It was such a good. Always had some great times. Go to the Caxton pub and wear my New South Wales jersey and get booed when I walk in, and you know what I mean. They're throwing toilet paper at you, and it's such a good day. And you go to the 4X Brewery, and it's just fun.
Have you done the brewery tour as yet?
I've done it a couple of times, actually. Yeah, I love it. The 4X Brewery is right next to the ground. Caxton Hotel. Yeah. So much fun. So that's what it all. At the end of the day, when we're playing Super Coach, when we're playing sports, it's all about the people that you meet. That's what it all comes down to.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And the people in the Super Coach community, like I'm not a really outgoing sort of bloke. My missus would probably say I'm. I won't actually say that. What she would probably say, that have a few swear words in there. But no, I'm not a really outgoing sort of bloke. So sitting home doing the Super Coach, because I mainly work the weekends and those sorts of things. Yeah, what a good time to be playing.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you can't go out, so I do my work and then it's Super Coach. You know what I mean? So I've had to tell previous girlfriends.
When you ranked up where you were, you have to put a lot of time and effort in to keep that ranking up.
That's it. Definitely. You got to be checking the team lists and, the injuries and who could be out and who to captain. And
you've got to be over everybody's Twitter feed.
Oh, yeah. So give me some tips. What are some of the things that I should, with 7 rounds to go, what are some of the tips that that you could give for me?
Okay, now you're sitting in 5th. If I was you, I would have a complete dossier on every team that's within, say, the top 15 rankings. So what I did, I'm not sure. I'm no real computer savvy guy, so I'm generally pencil and paper. What I was doing each week when I was on top, I would go through every other team that was in the top 10. I would write down 17 players they played that week, who they had out, who they had. I didn't find this out till a week later. As we know, you can't see their teams the following thing. But I would write down who they were playing, who they were tending to put the captain on, the vice captain. So by the time we got down to the last 4 or 5 weeks of the competition, I think I had a good idea of which tendencies, which way they were going to go with their players, which guy was more likely to put a risky sort of vice captain on in a Thursday, Friday, Saturday sort of game. So I think at this stage of the season, homework is the most important part, keeping an eye on what everybody else is doing around you.
Right. Okay. I'll definitely keep that
It's
in
a lot
mind.
of work, but
Yeah, it is.
pays off.
Yeah, it definitely does. Well, I've seen the guy at the top, and I don't know how he doesn't have Kalen Ponga in his team, and he's coming down the rankings because of this. So I hope he doesn't watch this, but keep not playing Kalen Ponga so I can. And I think I might even captain him.
Go huge this weekend.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think I might. I've had Cleary the last couple of weeks, and he's done me good. But I think I'm going to vice captain Cleary and then captain Ponga. So I won't bring this out till next week. So no sort of in.
I'm a sucker for punishment. I'm going to go Mitchell Moses tonight.
Oh. Actually, you know what? Yeah. That's not a bad. You know what? I've had Brown in my team for the whole season, the 5'8", and he has actually done me good. He jumped me up 30 spots, 20 spots, 20 spots a couple of weeks ago in the rain when they played the Sharks.
Yeah,
he scored 100. He scored 100. Yeah. He was a pod, so I put him on the reserve, and bang. So, it's just been those lucky times. So, yeah.
And you need the luck. In Super Coach, definitely. You need the luck. You can. Someone who says, it's their skill that won them that, no. I mean, I can tell from this year alone, like, the amount of injuries this week, this particular season is like, I didn't have that sort of luck or that sort of wretched, luck in 2017. I had, and I don't think you can get away with it. Like, there's been so many weeks this season where I've had playing trades. I'm bringing in this player here and this player here, and then you lose two starters, and then you've got to weigh up, am I chasing money? Am I chasing points? Yeah. I'm kind of lucky. I'm way back in the Boondocks this year. I think I'm ranked about 19,000 this year, so I don't have to worry about all these stressful things you're going through at the moment.
That's right. Well, it's a bit of luck, bit of captaincy, good captaincy, and just injuries. The players that are not injured, it's just been ravaged with injuries and suspensions and COVID virus, sitting out, resting players.
Whoever wins the season Super Coach has earned the coin this year. Such a weird season. Like, you started off, and then there was the break after 2 weeks, and then there was that big 5 track thing. It was whoever wins Super Coach this year, I dip my hat to, because it'd be a really tough season to participate in.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Sam. Let's wrap it up here. So, what does the future hold for Sam Rolfe?
No, just, mate, I'm a simple sort of bloke. I like my football. I love hanging out with my family. My kids are all getting to the late teens now. My daughter turned 18. My boys will be 16 and 14 in a couple of weeks. So the next 4 or 5 years is just going to be dominated hanging out with them, mate. I'm just such a family man. I can't wait to see what sort of adults they're going to turn into. So,
yes,
simple bloke, mate. Love me footy, love me family, and that's pretty much me to a T.
Awesome. And for the people watching and listening, where's the best place to find you on social media if they want to see some photos or send you an email?
I'm on Twitter at Banyo Boy.
Yes.
It's also my Super Coach name.
Okay.
So, I've had that for as long as I've been on Twitter. I think maybe 10 years now or so, 8 years. So if anyone ever wants to jump online, have a chat, I always, if there's anyone that wants to know anything about Super Coach, I love talking about Super Coach. So I can bend your ear a little bit too long sometimes.
No, definitely
That's what we
not.
do when we get late. We like to.
That's it, definitely. So, and to finish off, I just like asking a couple of quick questions, and you just give me your first response, random questions. Okay. Are you ready, Sam?
Am I ready?
Yes. Are you ready for these quick questions?
Oh, yes, mate. Fire away.
All right. Okay. So besides Parramatta, do you have a second team?
No, not really. I pretty much follow them more equally, depending on how their Supercoach players are going at the time.
Yeah, that's just true. Who will win the grand final this year? Besides Parramatta.
I'm hoping for Parramatta, but I'm going to go with Penrith.
Penrith, yeah. So I agree. I think Penrith is a very good chance. They're playing very good footy. Who do you, in your opinion, who is the most gifted athlete in the NRL that you've watched play?
The most gifted athlete. There's
Well,
a
top
lot of
three.
athletes
Top
there.
three. Top three. Top three.
Top three. Athletes is a bit hard to separate because they've all got skills in different areas. I'll just put it down to the top three footballers. I'll go James Tedesco. I'm not shocking anybody there, especially in Supercoach communities. I'll follow it up with Tommy Treverovich. And the next guy I will say is Payne Haas. What an individual. He's got to be one of the best athletes in the NRL.
Definitely. What do we say in the Supercoach? He's a set and forget, right?
Sorry, what was that?
In the Supercoach language, he's a set and forget. You put
exactly
him in
right. Set and forget.
Yeah.
See, these are all the things you have to learn once you start playing Supercoach. You have to know all the acronyms, what pod and everything.
Yeah,
means.
right.
It took me 2 seasons when I first started playing because there wasn't as much information around back in those days. I had no idea what a break even meant or how to find it or how to calculate it. These are all things you have to find out.
And the one thing that I've learned this year is they're saying unicorn points now. At the first, I was like, what the hell is a unicorn point? And, because of Tedesco.
Unicorn points go to the star players.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they walk onto the field and they've already got 15 points on their Supercoach, right?
Yeah. Teddy is probably the beneficiary of unicorn points this year. And I dare say Cam Smith and Jonathan Thurston had a history of unicorn points.
They're very lenient with their assists, try-assists, and yes. I was talking to Wilfred about this, how they don't in Supercoach. The other sort of fantasy game that they have, rugby league game, is they have kick meters. So that's why Cherry Evans is so far ahead in that competition. But in the NRL Supercoach Daily Telegraph, he's sort of mid to upper field. Yeah. So it's just and it's just a point of difference. Like you don't want to have exactly the same points for both sort of competitions. So yeah.
I like the balance of the way the points are given in both competitions. I only play NRL Supercoach now. I used to play. I think it was Dream Team. Was that the one we?
The NRL one. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to play that one. I played it every year as well, but then I think they did a bit of a change to their pricing system. I think players' prices would change after a week instead of the 3 weeks.
Yeah, they do it after. They do it after the first week. Yeah, so that's why you got to get the rookies in there.
That would make it very tough.
Yeah, it is very. It is
for the players or the coaches that want to take a risk early as well.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Tell me your 3 top favorite musical artists. Going off topic.
My top 3. My favorite band, a band I've been following now for about 10 years, is called the Love Hammers. They're a band from Chicago. If you remember a series about a decade ago, Rockstar in Excess.
Oh, yes.
Did you watch it when that was a long time ago? Well, the lead singer of the Love Hammers, Marty Casey, was the runner-up in that competition. And I enjoyed his music on the show, and I learnt how to download things on the internet back in the day. So, I'm a big fan of the Love Hammers music. Apart from that, I'm just a general Australian pub rock sort of guy.
Chisel.
All in Excess, Cold Chisel.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. The Angels, Baby Animals.
Yeah, come on. That's great. Bit of Akadaka.
The grunge era was pretty big. I was through the grunge era, so Pearl Jam, Nirvana,
Oh, yes.
Soundgarden, those are all pretty big.
Cool. And what are your top 3 film actors with movie?
Oh, my favourite actors to watch, Tom Hanks. There's very rarely a bad Tom Hanks movie.
Agreed.
My wife and I actually went on our first date when we saw Forrest Gump, so that movie holds a special place.
Nice. Nice.
I'm a big Keanu Reeves fan, from his Bill and Ted to John Wick characters all the way through. I've always loved these sort of movies.
Did you see that they've got a new Bill and Ted coming out next month?
Yeah, I've only just seen the latest preview about a week or so ago.
Yeah.
I'll make all my boys watch the first two, and I'll take them to that one.
Yeah.
One of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. All right, Sam. Thank you very much again for your time. I know you're a busy man. Thanks for sharing your stories. And good luck to Parramatta. If anybody's going to beat Newcastle, I hope it's Parramatta.
Not a problem, mate. Thank you for that.
And really appreciate your time. And come on anytime again.
No, not a problem, Craig. It was an absolute pleasure, mate.